Hey, hello guys, my name is Cesar Montero. I'm gonna show you something I made just for you. That's right. This is some rainbow stairs. I thought of having some fun with colors, and I thought of having the idea of no matter how many steps you added, it still created the same rainbow. So let's take a look at a little bit of how I created this. First and foremost, I have a material. Oops, that's not the material, sorry. Set here it is. There you go. So the key for this effect is a node called Hue Shift, and Hue Shift receives a value between 0 and 1, and depending on the value and the decimal that you give it, it's gonna change the degrees of the color wheel. So 360 degrees of rotation will be 1, and 0 in rotation will be 0. So I'm gonna be able to modify that through a parameter called Hue Shift percentage, and I'm just gonna give it a color. You cannot give black and white value to this input, because otherwise you're just gonna be changing the hue of black and white, which never works, right? So I just added a complete red color. Then the next step for this was to create a blueprint. As you can see, there's nothing in this blueprint. Everything is pretty much done through the constructor script. And in the construction script, I'm getting a steps total, which I made a public variable, so that we can actually change it within the details panel. So if you look for it here, is steps total. With that steps total, we're able to modify the amount. That steps total, we get it as the last index of a for loop. Saving the current step, but after that, I define an offset, and depending on the offset of the current step is how high and how far it goes. So let's say that the current index is 1. It means that it's 1 times 60, and then that's gonna be added to the current default location, that is the default scene root, and we're gonna get it here. It's gonna be input into the new step value. Let's say we have the next step is number 2. So it's gonna be 2 times 60 plus the default scene root x is gonna be the new x of the new step. The number 3 is 3 times 6, that is 180, plus the default scene root x value, and that's gonna be the new x for the new step, so forth and so on. So we're gonna do that for the x value, for the c value, and we're gonna leave the y value the same, because we're not really modifying this exercise the rotation. I'm just getting from the GetWorldTransform the rotation of the default scene root. Once that is done, we're pretty much if I disconnect this, you're gonna see, and I compile, this is enough to create a variation and the addition of the steps to the scene. The next part is the one that is going to create the dynamic material instance, which then can be modified through parameter variations. So the dynamic material instance is created, and then we save the curl material instance, which later on, you can do this if you want, after that material instance is created, then we can modify its current parameter name. Remember that first variable that we had on that material. So we go back to rainbow, and we see the name is Hue Shift percentage. That's the one that is going to be modified. So how is that done? If we take into account that we are going to modify this value between 0 and 1 to create the whole 360 degrees of our color wheel, then it means that we first need to know like how much how much of that 0 to 1 is gonna be the value for each step. And to know that we're gonna have number 1 divided by the total amount of steps. So let's say that we had 10 steps. That means that 1 divided by 10 is gonna be 0.1, and that's gonna be the amount you have to move per step to get one of the colors. So once we have that, we're gonna have the current step. Let's say we're in step number 5, and then we're gonna multiply for that unit, and it's gonna give us the correct amount of 0 to 1 for the hue percentage. Because remember, this is done as a loop. This is done as a for loop. This for loop, it starts here, and this is done for each step, which means that we're gonna get the current step that is gonna be 1, and then multiply times 1 the fraction that we get here, and then step number 2. So we're gonna start having that rotation happening in the color wheel and be fed over here. So no matter how many steps we have, we're gonna cover the 360 degrees of the color wheel. I'm gonna click compile, and here you go. I think that's it, guys. Thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this. I'll keep doing more of this little exercise, and hopefully you'll find one of them useful. Please subscribe to my channel if you want to know more. Thank you.